Do you think if Shohei Ohtani has the season that he's had the past 2 years, every single year for 10 years, he's the greatest ever?
I can't understand why people even have to balk at saying yes to that.
Hands down. What do you think, Jared?
You got a guy that hits the scene and is doing shit that the game hasn't seen in 100 years, and you're telling me he's going to do that for a decade, and he doesn't fall anywhere in your greatest ever pantheon?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, of course he would fall in the conversation, but is he the greatest ever? I don't know that I could just say that, especially for like 10 years when you've had guys with like 20 years of like domination of one thing.
Right. Domination of one thing. So if he's a top 10 dominator of two things.
This is what I don't like about the Shohei conversation is people
you don't like that you have to entertain the full skill set. I know. It becomes inconvenient.
No, it's like you're not allowed to say anything else but Shohei. And if you don't say Shohei, then you're wrong or you're an idiot. It's like, no, like you can have the discussion. You can have the discussion.
But this all goes back to you can have your discussion, you can have your opinion. At some point in time, you got to resign to the fact that your opinion may be wrong. Like you may be wrong if you want to take just an offensive guy.
No, that's not right. Like, no, if you 10 years is a great career, but does it make you the greatest of all time if you do this for 10 years? No, I don't think it does.
If he's hitting 30 to 40 homers and rocking a 2.5 ERA with 25 plus starts for a fucking decade, you don't have this guy as one of the best baseball players to ever
not what I said. That's not what I said.
It's because, dude, you're basically putting two Hall of Fame careers into one player.
Right.
How many players have made the Hall of Fame because of 10 years? It's usually 20 years.
No, if you're 10 years, you're top 5 in ERA for 10 years, you're not a Hall of Famer.
Well, he's not. He would.
What? Jared,
he's not winning Cy Young awards. Like he's in the conversation. Yeah. Like I don't think that 10 years automatically makes you the greatest of all time.
You need to quit saying just 10 years because that's not what Joey said. 10 years of this specific kind of 10 years of 30 to 35 homers, as well as a 2.5 ERA. 10 fucking years of that. We're talking about 7-year peaks to get guy to the Hall of Fame. 10 years of 30 to 35 jacks and a 2.5 ERA.
Yeah,
Take 2 minutes and say that out loud to yourself.
The 7-year peak. The 7-year peak is what gets guys to the Hall of Fame, but you still have to have the longevity. Like you can't play 10 years and then pick 7 and be like,
I'm not saying he's only playing 10 years. I'm saying if he has 15 years, 5 of them aren't the GOAT, but if he has 10 years of this season and that's his best 10-year stretch plus 5 other years of like, okay, average.
I think that he would be in the conversation for like top 3 all time. Yeah.
I mean, Jared, like Sandy Koufax, what he pitched
like 10, 12 years,
11 years, like and it was the last 4 or 5 years where it was just like unfair for everybody else. So he did that in a 5-year window, 5-year peak. Or whatever it is, 6-year.
Sandy Koufax is the outlier, though. Like,
but that's an example.
When we talk about like Hall of Famers and longevity, Sandy Koufax is like notoriously the example that people use to say, "Well, you don't have to play 20 plus years to get into the Hall of Fame because Sandy Koufax did." It's like, yeah, I mean, Sandy Koufax retired when he was like 31.
And I would talking about.
And I would present to you, I would present to you an outlier in the form of Shohei Ohtani.
Don't compare.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Hall of Famer and greatest of all time.
Yeah, well, I'm saying he would be. Hold on, like number 1 greatest of all time. I thought we were talking about having him in the conversation as one of the greatest of all time. I didn't know that we were.
I thought you were saying if he did this for 10 years that he is number 1 greatest baseball player of all time.
Yeah.
I think that there's probably still a very, very, very strong case for that to be a fact. If he were to, sorry, man. You got to do.
I said it's in the discussion. I can't just definitively say that, though.
30 to 40 home runs, and he's rocking a 2.5 ERA for the next decade. I have never heard of anybody capable of doing that, Jared. That guy doesn't exist in our record books.
Oh, now you're abandoning Babe Ruth. Sad.
That's such a false equivalent.
that happened
Because
for a
Babe
year
Ruth
and a
didn't
half.
fucking pitch and hit at the same time.
Right. And when he did, it was for a year. Like it didn't.
Then he killed his wife.
Took steroids as well.
Took steroids. Couldn't do it at the same time. Killed his wife. Drunk.
Yep. So in short, Shohei for MVP.